parts of you need to come with you. These technologies are bringing you to a point where you're at least bringing into the mental body awareness what actions you can take, both inside the mind, because it's an action. Every time you think a thought and draw a picture in your mind of a symbol and put a certain color to it, you have created a thought form, and you're speaking the language of primal creation when you use light and color and form. So when we use symbols to direct energy, and then when we put it in action out here, if you want to look at it this way, the hologram that's out here is actually the past of the thought vibration we just moved out of. The past is right here. When we look out, we are looking at the past. The part of us that's looking, the stream of consciousness right now, is the present. When we close our eyes and see light, if we imagine light, we are seeing the frequencies of the dimensions above us. Like in a near-death experience, people will see the dark, they'll go through the tunnel, they're going through the 45-degree shift in angular rotation of particle spin. That is called the null zone, or one of the smaller voids that exists between every set of three-dimensional bands. There's a void between D3 and D4 that you need to shift 45 degrees in angular rotation of particle spin so it can pop up in density 2. When we use the Vesica Pisces symbol that I've been talking about, that explains it actually beautifully in a very simple symbol. The Vesica Pisces are the two circles. I don't have this one drawn yet because this information was just given. But if you imagine two circles hooked together, and the center point in one is where the other one starts. So their center points are actually touching, and they're overlapped. I wish I had a thing to draw on here. I think, let's see if this will work on here. Anybody have a marker? Because I think that would work on here. Okay. Yeah, what I need though is a marker that I can write on the Mylar with. Do you have a marker? Yeah, that's excellent. Thank you. Oh, goody. Now I can draw it right on the thing here. Okay. Now the symbol I'm talking about, I think this is the only one that has any space on it anyway to draw on. Okay. And I can't draw these perfectly without it, using a template. My hand isn't quite steady enough. But basically, what it creates is where the center points, the outer rim of one touches the center point of the other. Okay, I'll show you in a minute. It's a little hairy looking, though, the bottom one, isn't it? They're supposed to be just circles. Okay. See that little symbol there? There's not much room to write on here. That is the Vesica Pisces, except it's not a flat circle. It's supposed to be a nice looking round circle. But the way the circles are done are the outside of one touches the center point of the other, and vice versa. So they form an interlocking electromagnetic field. And what you have is this is actually the future time zone, which is the light field, which is the Dion field. This is the past, which is, this is the electrical, which is the magnetic field. This is the Mayan field. And here in the center, see the center point? That's where you have a still point. That's the trion zone, where trions are formed. So you have the part of K, the part of Chi, the original, and the part of Cum, reality fields. Our hologram, our form constant, which is the bent field of frequency that allows light to refract, consciousness to refract in certain ways, that allows for the creation of the projection of the hologram, takes place in these two spaces, at these relationships, where part of K, part of Chi, and part of Cum relate to each other in those relationships. So there's a way to use this. This is a mathematical code. It's not just an explanation of how light is born. Because what this is actually, you have original source light, let's say source is an energy field. Then you have the void zone, put it together and it creates your primal light field. This is a pattern, a mathematical code that's been used ever since from the first individuation of source that forms the acatic level, the void in the acatic level, way up in the primal sound fields. This pattern manifests all the way down. So it's a core mathematical template code that can be used to embed directly into a manifestation template. a thought form that you want to put there. A thought form in its wholeness, if you use the right codes, because this is the carrier of a code. This is the embedding code that you can use to put information directly into your template. You can use this in a way that you can put it into all of the subharmonics of your template at the same time. And when you use it with the activation code that goes with dimension 12, you will be able to set that thought or that intention, embed it literally in all 12 strands in your template. If you're an indigo child, which most of you are, because most people that listen to me happen to be indigo children, they have 24 to 48 strands in their template, not just 12. Okay? You can put it in all 48 of them if you've got 48 of them. Now, if you want to run into your thoughts somewhere as fast as possible, the more places you can put that pattern, the faster you're going to see it until you figure out how to get your vibrational coordinates just right by feel. This is a way to get it, literally, where you will manifest it on this level. You'll manifest it on the soul level in density 2. You'll manifest it on the oversoul level in density 3 because you're manifesting it from the avatar pre-matter template level of density 4. All right, so the beginning of using the techniques, the new techniques that are going to be given, is going to be understanding how the Vesica Pisces also gives us our control code for implanting things in past, present, and future. Once we get the thing put, right, so we have a symbol that we've made that corresponds to an idea. You take the symbol, let's say it's a heart. I'm just saying that for the heck of it, right? We have a heart symbol. Let's say we have a heart and an anti-heart. Okay? You bring these two together. You see how we have one? It's put in the future, right? One's put in the past, and they're being sent in from the hologram point, which is now. Then you'll use the mind to bring the two together, where this circle becomes, the two circles become one, because this one moves down in frequency, and this one moves up in frequency. Now, what this does is it takes it out, it demanifests the original pattern that is the lack of what it is you're trying to create. If you have something you want to create, that implies you don't have it yet, which means you're seeing the lower frequency pattern of it. It implies that it already exists somewhere. You take your pattern, you put both of them in, you bring it together into this center point, and that will bring your past, present, and future, because your present is here, you'll bring them all together in the center point. Now, it's a way of mathematically embedding into your template on all levels simultaneously the thoughts that you're trying to create in your hologram. It's a very powerful tool for that reason, because it also can be abused, because you don't have to use it with D12 frequency. To use it with D12 frequency, the symbol that you would use would be the D12 activation code, which is 6-pointed Star of David with a point in the center and a circle around it. So there would be a process of visualization that you would use with this, but even easier than visualization, because that's hard for some people at first. You can draw the symbols on a piece of paper. You have chakras in the bottom of your feet. You have most that will create, there's a left-right relationship that's really complicated and it's not worth getting into. I don't think I could explain it coherently to the level that I like to when I address something. But you can pick which side you want. You draw your original image. It doesn't have to be the hearts. This is going to be a symbol that you're going to decide to put in until you can figure out what it is. If you just want, I want my heroic self. That means everything I was ever intended to be, to create myself in my greatest wholeness, my Christos self, my Ascended Master self. I would just want to be at one with my source self here while I'm in manifestation, which will be the fastest way to get all sorts of rapid but sequenced, which means they'll be smooth compared to non-sequenced DNA activations, Kundalini activations, where your particles and your antiparticles and your antiparticles all combine to progressively get your body ready to make the shift that will allow you to project out the hologram of walking through a portal into inner earth or going to visit Terra. So if you use this symbol, which is a 6-pointed Star of David, that was this one again, whoops, this is like Right? Just this, one triangle, the other triangle, dot in the center, and the dots are important. If you see a dot in the center, something that is a mathematical code, you remove it, you change what it means mathematically. That is the D12 Maharic shield symbol code. So you would put that here, and you would put it here. Okay? So you have two. You're putting it in the past, and you're putting it in the future. And then you would bring these two. You would imagine these two things in your mind if you're going to do it that way, or you would have them on the paper, and then you would have next to them the result of these two come together. One goes down, the other goes up. You don't have to draw the arrows. It knows what to do with itself once you load it with symbols. It will turn into this image where the dot in the center will be the transmuted code that you put in, which will raise it to its next increment and its next level. So you could just draw these two codes, this one without the words around it, and this one in it, and then this one next to it. This is the embedding code. This is how you embed things directly into your DNA template. You can use it to embed other things too, but I always suggest when you're going to use codes that have the potential to literally alter the scalar wave patterns that are in your core template, which means they can alter your body, they can alter your hologram. You put the wrong codes in, somebody gets, you could turn yourself into an ape or something. This is why these codes have been protected. And that you might see the symbols, they've been around for ages, but the explanations of what they do have been diverted this way. Oh, it's this, and this, and it's sacred, but we won't tell you what you can do with it because they're very powerful. So if you're going to use this for intention and for setting like specific ideas that you'd like to manifest, do them. Hold the intention of the thing you'd like to manifest while you use this code. Use the D12. This is considered the Christos code, because that holds your divine blueprint the way it's supposed to be, so you don't accidentally create a bunch of stuff that is going to work against what your soul and avatar level of consciousness had in mind when you decided to come here. And it also won't create chaotic activation of frequency, bless you, in your fields. If you use the Vesica without the D12 code, you're taking the level of protection off of it, which means you can get all sorts of weird energy running through your system that your body's not ready to process. And because you're telling it to run by running that code, it won't shut off. However, if you use this symbol with it, your D12 template will not allow more frequency to enter your body than is comfortable for your body at the time. You might get little aches and pains here when you do general, like soul level motivated DNA activations, but you will not hurt yourself. You will not accidentally blow yourself up, things like that. When you start using the Vesica code, if you use it with the security symbol, the security symbol is the D12. This is the symbol that corresponds to the mathematical coding that is the 144 sub-frequency bands, the 144 fire letter codes of the D12 frequency spectrum. All right? Yes? We're behind each other.
I just want you to think you explain the things right there. We didn't see.
Oh, you didn't see. Okay. Okay. Let's see if over here this time. Hello. All right. Basically what you'll do is you'll draw on a piece of paper the symbol here, the circle, and the other circle. It's important that you do the circles, you do draw them accurately, even if you have to use like one of those little circle templates or something, where the center point, and the easiest way to do it is like draw one and find its center, and then use that as where you're going to form the outside of the other one. And make sure that the inside, like the outsides, touch the insides. That's what it's about. That's what creates the mathematical interaction of frequency when you use the Vesica. So you do your two circles, and mine are not perfect here because I would just do them freehand. Then you will put in this code here. This is the D12 frequency code that contains within it the mathematical coding for the 144 fire letter sequences that make up the D12 frequency band, which is the frequency that carries within it all of the frequencies below, the frequency of the pre-matter template. When you embed something into pre-matter, You are literally setting its intention just as you did as source, just as you did when you were a Rishi consciousness in the primal light fields. You are engaging your entire higher self in the process. You are co-creating with the levels of yourself that didn't enter this level of density. So you're not working against what you're trying to do. If you're trying to do one thing on density 2, but your density 1 self doesn't know about it, and your density 1 self is running amok down here with manifestation codes, creating all sorts of stuff that's trying to mess up with the greater pattern that all of you came in to do. If you have a self on each level, you need to work with yourself in co-creation, which means you have to care what your soul level thinks. You have to care what your body level thinks and feels. Because you came in as a unified being and then got dimensionalized. And if you want to get back out, you have to reunify, which means cooperation. Okay? So when you're working with this symbol, you then put this symbol in. It's the 6-pointed Star of David, they call it, with a point in the center and a circle around it. And you can do this big. You know, you can make it big enough where you can actually stand on it with both feet. And you can even do it where you have one under each foot, but on the same piece of paper. That piece of paper is a scalar field, and if you break it apart, that implies negative space in between, which changes the relationship. All right, so on one piece of paper below your feet, it will come through the chakras and the balls of your feet. That will be the entry point, and it goes up the energy lines that run through the legs from there, and there's a main vertical current that runs up your body. It'll go through your whole body. It'll go up into the higher chakras that are here. And you have, I haven't got into body parts in this one, but they're in the Cathar manual, and they're also in the Templar manual to show you where your chakras are. You go all the way up to chakra 14, 36 inches above the head. Then it'll come back down to where chakra 12 is, below your feet and below the point where you put the code in. And then it will continue down into Earth's core where chakra 13 is. It will make a full link of the circuits of all your creation currents. So you are using all of your currents together. You are literally creating from all of these dimensional levels. You have an embodied Cathara grid, points in the body. This is one of the this is the first thing we teach in Cathara healing, is where these are and how to begin working with them. When you do this, you take this code, put that one in it here and here, and then draw the finished version of it, which is simply this, the circle with the dot, which is the two came together. All three reality spaces are now in one space, and the code has turned into a simple dot in the center. That holds your intention. You've literally put that code in every one of those Cathara centers, those inner stargates. Then there are going to be ways that we're going to amplify that even further. When we go to the beach tonight, we're going to do what's called a salutation, where once we've played with this code a little bit, you get to play with the code when you go on your dinner break. Just play with the code. And I'll show you how to play with the code. If you want, you use the breath. Use a piece of paper with the drawing on it below your feet. It's called direct induction, where you're inducing the energy pattern directly into one of the vortices in the body hologram. The vortices are connected to what are called crystal seals, seed crystal seals in the body. The seed crystal seals are connected directly to the template and to the DNA strands for each dimension. By putting it in the chakra, you're moving it into the crystal seal, which will move it into the template of the DNA and of the corresponding chakra and of the corresponding auric field level. If you want to program things, your chakra system is a definite tool that was given to you so you could think things through different chakras to make them manifest on different levels. This is the beginning, because this can also be used. If you notice, there are symbols here on this diagram. They're basic symbols that we've often seen many times. They are symbols that correspond to primary 5-letter sequences in each dimensional band. So everything that's made out of dimensions, you will be able to use these as directional codes if you want to put something in D4 frequency band. Now if you embed something in your 4th DNA strand, all right, you're going to need to get to 5th dimensional consciousness before it will be in your hologram out here. All right. This is where you start to learn with the symbols, the mathematical codes drawn in light, which is future time, but inside of your head here, which is present time, and then used to run energy in the past, which is taking action to anchor it in the physical world. As you do this, you learn to literally put your manifestation where you want it. Right now we're going for across-the-board manifestation of the heroic self, which is the future self and the past self of you that was your entire divine blueprint, where you are completely in a state of vibrational harmonization, which is a complete and utter state of love. The feeling that we call love, and all of the feelings of expansion and joy, and beyond those feelings. There's a level where joy is joy, but then there's, and even ecstasy isn't close enough. It's unity. It's a return to the oneness. These are feelings that we're going to be able to wake up in our body. We all have this part of our template. If we use these symbols, we're anchoring first the heroic self. Then as the heroic self, we can start to look at our hologram and say, is there anything here that needs healing? Don't think what I want to change. Think, what do I want to heal and integrate and raise to its highest expression? Which means you're willing to bring its negative right to you and put them together in the same space. But now you have a tool of direct manifestation where you don't have to walk the collision point. The collision point is when the negative and the positive do begin to run into each other, and you get all sorts of weird, unstable frequency as your hologram is trying to integrate. When you work with the energy directly, you integrate it before, through the D12 pattern. You harmonize it and put it back into a state of love before it gets projected into the hologram. So this is the easiest way to clear your karmic imprint, which is a bunch of twisted energy patterns that exist in the Cathara grid in your body, that manifest from the Cathara grid into the DNA template, into chemical form, into your hologram. When you work with this, there's a lot you can do, and you'll get guidance from your own self on, okay, I can do that. What else can I do with it? There's lots you can do with this.